Hi everyone, welcome to another video. Today I want to share with you how to do multicolor stenciling, and I'm going to be using the brand new Hearts Galore stencil from Craftin Desert Divas. Now here's a look at all the supplies that I used on my card today, so if you have any questions you can come back here and reference this list. So first off, here is a look at this brand new stencil. It's called Hearts Galore. It's from Craftin Desert Divas, and it is just what it says it is. It has a ton of different sized hearts that you can put on all your different projects. This is going to come in especially handy for Valentine's Day. So the first thing I want to do is go ahead and position this over the front panel of my A2 top folding white card base that I made. Now this stencil is 6x6, and then that little border around it is probably about 1/4 of an inch, I would say, if that. So this fits perfectly on your A2 card front. Now I'm going to go ahead and position this to where I've got some hearts hanging off both sides, and then I also just want that top border and bottom border kind of off the bottom of the card and also the top of the card as well. Now the first thing I want to do is go ahead and tape that down on the front once I get it positioned, but that's going to get in the way of my stenciling, so then I flip it over and tape the back side of this down to the stencil, and I do it on all 3 sides. If this was a panel, I would do it on all 4 sides. So I'll go ahead and tape that down, then I can flip this over and remove that tape on the front. But that tape on the front just held it in place so I could get everything positioned perfectly and tape it down on the back. Now for this technique, I'm actually going to be using makeup sponges. If you have finger daubers, that would work really well, or you can try your mini ink blending tools or your blending tools, but I would just use the foam part. I wouldn't use the actual tool itself, just those foam rounds, because these little places that I'm going to be stenciling in are pretty small. So even with this makeup sponge, I'm going to go ahead and put it into a clothespin. That's going to round out the edge on the bottom. It's going to make it a little bit smaller, a little bit more precise, and it's going to be easier on my fingers. Now in some places I needed this even more precise, so I will take it out of the clothespin here and there and hold it with my fingers like I'm doing here, and I'll go into those really tight spaces, and then for some of the larger spaces I go back to holding it with my clothespin. You can also use a paper clip. Now I am using some cracked pistachio first, and I am going to go in between all the hearts in this. Now the hearts are going to be different colors, and I want the area around them to be kind of a lighter color that still matches all the other colors I'm using on my hearts. So I went ahead and chose cracked pistachio, and I am just going to fill in all those little spaces. Now some of this can get a little tight, and that's okay, and it might go into your hearts a little bit. That's another reason I chose this color. I'm starting off with this because it is lighter than a lot of my other colors. Then I kind of try and go back in with my other colors later on, like I'm doing here, and I'll go over any of those places I might have gotten a little ink inside the actual heart. So the next color I'm using is Abandoned Coral, and I am just picking and choosing different hearts to fill in here. I want each one of these to be a different color. I don't want too many of the same color hearts right next to each other. Now again, I'm using 4 colors here. You could step this down to 2 colors, you could do 3, you could do 10 colors if you wanted to, make each heart a different color, or you can keep it at 1 color. It really is up to you. But I wanted to go with these 4 here. I chose my color palette beforehand. And the next one I'm using is Dusty Concord. Again, I'm using that makeup sponge inside my clothespin, picking and choosing each one of the little hearts to fill in with this color. Now you can see at this point I am handling my paper with a paper towel on my other hand. Now in some parts of this, if you get your finger in any of the ink, the distress inks will react with oils and water. So if you have any type of lotion on your hands, it's going to move those distress inks around. So I like to hold on with either a scrap piece of paper or a paper towel in this case. That's going to keep my colors nice and solid, no fingerprints. The last 2 colors I used were Squeezed Lemonade and Twisted Citron, and then I came back in and filled in the remaining hearts with those 2 colors. Once that was finished, I could remove that stencil and that washi tape on the back, and I've got this great multicolor heart stencil that fills out my entire card front. Now to finish this card off with, I am using the new Hugs and Kisses stamp set from Craftin Desert Divas as well. I went ahead and colored up a few images. Those will be over on my Instagram if you want to check out the coloring process for those. But for the remaining card, I wanted to go ahead and add a few clouds along the bottom. Since these little trolls are sitting on clouds in the stamped images, I wanted to add a few clouds along the bottom of the card as well. I like to use the Stitch Scallop die set from Craftin Desert Divas to create my clouds. I use the medium size, or the largest size, and the medium size, and I just am cutting an A2 white cardstock panel on one side with the largest, and then I flipped it over on the other side, kind of measured it out so it was a little bit shorter than the first one I cut, and I cut that with the medium size scallop. Now for my sentiment, I am using the XOXO, the O's are little hearts. This is from the Simply Said stamp set, and I am actually stamping with abandoned coral distressing to match my hearts. Now, I went ahead and used a Misty because I can do a little bit of double stamping with this. Distressings can be a little tricky to stamp with sometimes. That's why I pulled out my stamp positioner. Now, to put this card together, I'm going to first start off with that largest cloud border right in the background, and I am using double-sided adhesive for that. For the next cloud, I popped it up with dimensional adhesive. Then my two little trolls that are cupids, I popped those up with dimensional adhesive as well, positioning them in the clouds. Once those little cupids were in their places, that completely finished off the card for today. Here's a final look at that finished card and that nice stenciled in heart background with all the different colors, and those colors that I pulled into the trolls as well carry the eye completely down the card. I'm going to leave you guys with a few pictures of this finished card. On the left side of your screen, you'll see a few different links you can click on. The top will take you to a video of mine you might enjoy watching next. The bottom left will take you to the blog post for this card where you'll find the complete supply list. And then over on the right, that will subscribe you to my channel if you aren't already. Thanks so much for watching and happy crafting.